hopefully give you some insight into playing slide guitar in a standard tuning. First of all, we'll talk about the guitar really quick, because having the right gear, of course, is always inspiring and help you getting started and loving the instrument and all that kind of stuff. I like the SG because it has such an easy access to high frets. Has humbucker pickups, which seem, for the most part, to really resonate really well with the glass slide. The reason I use a glass slide as opposed to steel or brass or all the other ones that are available is maybe because I was raised in Alabama and Duane Allman was my biggest influence. But over the years, I come to find that the Pyrex, or the thick glass, sounds great on electric strings. Steel and brass tend to be really cumbersome, really heavy for whipping around and doing licks. Also, I wear it on my third finger, which is totally optional. There are many great players that wear it on different ones. I found on the third finger, once again, probably from just growing up listening to Duane Allman is why I chose that finger. But I found through the years that I can actually turn the slide sideways easier with the slide on my third finger to make like minor third intervals in standard tuning. So let's talk about standard tuning and why I use standard tuning. I mean, traditionally, I think the slide guitar and dobros and lap steels and all those things were tuned to open chords. And although that's beautiful sounding, it's kind of, if you change keys or if you really want to go outside harmonically in place, if you can't, you kind of got to detune the whole instrument and learn other patterns. And there's so many tunings that I found that since I knew standard, the guitar, the fretboard pretty well like it was, I kind of figured out how to adapt and make things happen in standard tuning. But it kind of involves a lot of right-hand technique in muting. I found that was the kind of the key to making that work. And having enough fretboard harmony to know where different extensions and upper partials of chords are in the fretboard. That helps me too. To start with, I want to kind of get a feel for slide, because I have a lot of students that play and they kind of whip around and they kind of sound like some kind of drunk theremin player, you know? And it's, if you can take, for instance, like a harp player would do. Get your four fingers, maybe, I think I do my thumb and my index and my middle and my ring, and I just grab the top four strings, and the rest of the strings I mute with the palm of my right hand. And I would say for a first exercise to try, pick a note. Whether it's let's do B, we say we're in the key of E. And just try sliding to the 12th fret and holding that note and making it pure without any of the other extraneous notes sympathetically ringing behind it. And that's doing like no vibrato. Just go right to the 12th fret and see if you can make that. There are some players, and they're no doubt great players who do that. That's not really my style, and that to me is a little frenetic sounding after a while, but I've always gravitated towards the Derek Trucks, Duane Allman, more Ride Cooter, maybe a little vocal, making it into like a real voice. Because really you can't really shred playing slide. You're kind of, it limits you to the amounts of notes you can play, so you kind of make every note count. Yeah, the intonation has to be spot on. So practice this. Grab those four strings, and just whatever note you want to play, lift, use that finger that's holding it as a plectrum and pluck that string, whether it's a, and let it go up to the note, and then give it a little shake, like a vocalist would do. Most vocalists would sing it, and then put vibrato. I can't sing, of course, but you know what I mean. And you can do that. Another thing also is that getting used to sliding in to right on the note in time. You could put a metronome on, you could play with a note, but just get used to going 2, 3, 4. And making it musical and going right up to the perfect pitch instead of going, trying to find your way around that way. So that's a good thing to practice too. As simple as it sounds, it's really crucial when you're playing slide guitar. The next figure I want to do is same kind of thing, but we're going to use like an E major chord. And we're going to, still the same notes are all muted down here, but what I want to do is play the arpeggio. I'm playing the 5th of the E chord on the 7th, on the 9th fret. sounds simple, but the idea here is that when one note is played, the other notes are still muted. And then when I go to play the second note, which is in this case is the E on the G string, my thumb drops back and mutes the first string that I had played. So I have. So I'm just kind of muting the ones that I just get through playing so they don't ring through, because I don't really want to hear. I don't want to hear all that. I want to hear. There's an effect where you want to go, of course, but I'm talking now about muting, which later on will come in handy for playing other chords in standard tuning. So that's figure number 2. Figure number 3, I want to demonstrate once again, it's like a little muting technique, and it's a lick that I've been hearing since I first started listening to the Allman Brothers and Robert Johnson stuff back when I was a kid. But it's this. We'll stay in the key of E for simplicity's sake. But to the 5th, which is the 12th fret on the B string. And here's the lick. Just that little movement can be real expressive. And that little movement is a combination of different things you got to do. Once again, find the first note, the principal fundamental note, which in this case is the 5th of the chord, the B on the 12th fret. And then with my hands still muting the strings, I want to make a quick slide right down to the A, which is the 4th in the key of E. But meanwhile, everything else is muted. Not the flat 5. And then I'm going to slide up on the G string, right below it, with my thumb. That's the movement. But the key to it is that once I go to the G string and slide up, I'm dropping my index finger back on the B string to mute it. And that's like a little exercise you can do that can kind of help you get around the fretboard. I've actually made a whole, in my next figure that I wanted to show you, I actually turned it into a whole exercise. But for right now, that's just a lick. I'm putting a little extra foo-foo on there just to give it a little personality. I could go to the major third if I wanted to. So as you can hear, it's like a really expressive, really nice way to, really great sounding technique to have in your arsenal to be able to play a little slide guitar. In the next figure, I take that same idea and I go down diatonically down the fretboard to kind of turn it into not only an exercise, but a lick. It could be a lick. Now, like I was saying before, since you don't have any frets that are stopping things, you've kind of got to get used to the movement of going up whole steps, half steps into notes. Because that's half the battle there. I mean, if you hear some guys playing who are beginners, they don't really know where they're going with it. And like I say, it sounds like a bad theremin player. But you can, this one lick I was showing you before, you could take that and go up and down the fretboard diatonically. In this case, let's do like E blues, E Mixolydian. And then I'm just going to go down to the next 2 notes down diatonically. To the next note, to the next 2, to the next 2, to the next 2. And of course, you can do that on any strings you want to. But that's the idea. Is this so you get this will get you familiar with the intervals between these licks and between the strings too on slide guitar. So I'm going to put the track on again, and I'm going to try to incorporate this little lick as much as possible and try to see if you can hear it in there. It's in the key of C. I think you could hear the look I was doing through that thing. And you can get a lot of mileage out of it. And once more, I tell all my students this, when somebody shows you a lick like this, I just showed you one little thing. Get creative with it. Change one note, make it Mixolydian. Change another note and make it a major 7. But see those patterns and see the intervals on the slide. And that's how you get it. Now, a cool thing about playing in standard tuning is that since I've been playing standard tuning, in so many applications, probably more than slide, I know a lot of chord voicings. So if you know a lot of chord voicings, it helps with playing slide too. For like situations, if somebody wants like a major 7 chord, like you say A major 7. If I know a little theory and I have a volume pedal and a chorus pedal, you can get a great effect, almost like a pedal steel effect, by barring the D, G, and B string on the 9th fret. So it's like an A major 9, right? But I can do it like this. And with the right pickup, in the background, I use it for a lot of times for tracks in my house for other people because it kind of gives almost like a pedal steel effect. Besides your regular old cowboy A, which of course is useful too, but unfortunately this is like a 5, 1, and 3. There's no extensions there. But with this voicing, you get like the 9 and the major 7, which is quite nice. Same logic there. You could, if you know like E minor 9, right there on the 7th fret, I use that often for like a sound with slide. I'm using a volume pedal, which helps swell in, which gives it more of a pedal steel effect. But that's some of the advantages to knowing as many chords as possible in standard tuning. So you can kind of go crazy with that stuff too, and superimpose slash chords on top of slash chords with wherever you can find partials anywhere. That's kind of a nice effect. Also, one last thing is one advantage to having a slide guitar, like I said on my my ring finger, is that you can turn it sideways, and this is like really hard to do. I think in the old days, the guys who played like the stand-up steel guitars before they had pedals, to make minor intervals or to make 7s and stuff, they'd have to turn the whole bar sideways, which is kind of a pain. It's really a hard technique to get down, and it's hard for me. But I'll try to. I did it some in the last example I played, but it's basically if you have like let's take A for instance. I'm playing an A on the 14th fret. And if I want to make that a minor, of course, I just lower the 3rd to a minor, down to half. And because I have the slide on my ring finger, I can do that. It's hard to intonate it. It's hard to do, but you can get it. And the more I play, if I have a good day, if I'm playing like, for 3 or 4 days back to back, my intonation and everything is always a lot better. So I'm going to put the track on one more time on this C minor groove, and I'm going to try to incorporate all the stuff we talked about today. But yeah, like anything else, it's kind of a quirky little technique playing slide guitar. Not everybody does it, and it's always foreign to everybody at first. So you just got to just jump in there and do it and sound drunk and out of tune for a while. But these are things you can practice, and make sure you do it with a metronome. Make sure you record yourself with a little recorder when you practice these things so you can get over bad habits sooner. But have fun, and I'm going to play out with the same groove in C minor, and I'm Allen Hinds. Thanks a lot.